A trillion-dollar company just lost more value in a single night than most countries make in a year, and almost nobody saw it coming this fast. One of the biggest names in tech got hit so hard after its earnings call that traders were refreshing their screens in disbelief, and by the time the dust settled, the stock was down more than 10%. If you own this name, or if you have been waiting on the sidelines for a chance to buy it cheaper, the next few minutes are going to matter a lot for your portfolio. Stick around, because we are going to break down exactly what happened, why it happened, and whether this drop is actually a gift in disguise. And before we go further, if you find value in breakdowns like this, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button right now on Ticker Hawk, because we go deep into these situations every single week, and you do not want to miss the next one. So let us talk about what actually happened. The company in question posted earnings that, on the surface, looked mixed, but the market reaction was brutal. Earnings per share came in noticeably below what analysts were expecting, largely because the company is pouring enormous amounts of money into building out artificial intelligence infrastructure. Revenue actually beat expectations, coming in right around $60 billion, and year-over-year growth was close to 28%, which on its own sounds like a strong quarter. But investors were not focused on the top-line growth. They were focused on free cash flow drying up because of massive capital expenditure, and that is exactly the kind of headline that spooks a nervous market. Here's the tricky part that a lot of casual investors miss. The market right now seems to be punishing companies no matter what they do. If a company spends heavily on artificial intelligence infrastructure and its cash flow shrinks, the stock gets hammered because investors worry about the return on that spending. But at the same time, the companies that actually build the chips and hardware benefiting from all that spending are not exactly being rewarded either, because now investors are asking whether all this capital expenditure will ever pay off. In other words, right now it feels like nobody wins, and that kind of environment creates a lot of fear across the board, not just in one single stock. On top of that, earnings shock, the broader macro picture is not helping at all. The Federal Reserve met around the same time and chose not to cut interest rates. Even more concerning for markets, the tone out of that meeting suggested there's a real possibility rates could actually move higher later this year if inflation does not cooperate. Part of that inflation pressure is coming from rising oil prices tied to ongoing tensions in the Middle East. When you combine a Fed that might raise rates instead of cutting them, with oil prices climbing, and mixed earnings from some of the largest companies in the world, you get a recipe for a rough trading day across every major index. And it was rough. The Nasdaq dropped close to 2%, the S&P slid over 1.5%, and the Dow fell around 2% as well. Key support levels that traders had been watching for weeks were broken during this sell-off, and when technical levels like that give way, it tends to accelerate the selling because algorithmic trading systems and short-term traders pile on. A lot of chart watchers had flagged this exact scenario days in advance, warning that unless several things lined up perfectly this week, including a calm Fed meeting and solid mega-cap earnings, the market was at serious risk of breaking down. Well, the stars did not align, and here we are. Now let us zoom in on the semiconductor and memory chip space for a second, because this is where things get even more interesting. One major memory chip maker also broke a key support level after hours, dropping to the low 700s per share. And here is what is fascinating. When you actually look at the valuation metrics on that company, it does not look expensive at all. Strong profitability numbers, impressive revenue generated, per employee, double-digit growth, and a price to earnings. To growth ratio, well under 1, which is typically considered attractive by value investors. Yet the stock had rallied so hard over the past year, up more than 500% at one point, that even after a massive 30 to 40% pullback from its peak, it is still up over 150% year to date. This is exactly the kind of situation that traps a lot of newer investors. A lot of people jumping into these high-flying names recently are not really investors in the traditional sense. They are more like traders chasing momentum. They hear about a hot stock from a friend, a coworker, or someone on social media, and they buy right at the top out of pure fear of missing out. Then, when the stock starts falling, leverage becomes the real problem. A lot of these traders were using triple-leveraged bullish exchange-traded funds or trading heavily on margin. Once the price starts dropping, margin calls kick in, forcing people to sell whether they want to or not. And that forced selling pushes prices down even further, which triggers more margin calls, creating a nasty downward spiral that has nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of the business. Layer on top of that some serious global pressure too. Markets in South Korea have been under significant strain, and it is worth noting that roughly half of their major index is concentrated in just 2 companies, both tied heavily to the memory chip and semiconductor boom. When that kind of concentration exists and sentiment turns, the unwind can be violent, That kind of volatility ripples outward into global tech and chip stocks everywhere, adding extra pressure that would not normally be there. Now, does a Fed that is leaning toward raising rates mean we are doomed for the rest of the year? Not necessarily. It does not have to be a dramatic V-shaped recovery by December, but it also does not mean everything is going to crash forever either. If things settle down and inflation cools, a lot of these beaten down names could trade meaningfully higher than where they sit today. The honest truth is that these stocks could still go lower before they go higher. And nobody, no matter how confident they sound on the internet, can predict exactly what happens next month or even by year end. What we can actually control is looking at high quality businesses and deciding what price makes sense to start buying. So let us bring this back to the company everyone is talking about tonight. Most of its revenue still comes from digital advertising, but it has been aggressively expanding into virtual and augmented reality hardware, and increasingly into artificial intelligence data centers. There is even chatter that this company could eventually get involved in renting out cloud computing infrastructure, the same way some of the big cloud providers do. On the earnings call, leadership will likely address exactly how much more capital they plan to spend building all of this out, and that commentary alone could move the stock significantly in the days ahead. Looking purely at the numbers, profitability here is extremely strong, north of 80%, and growth is sitting in the low to mid 20% range. Valuation, interestingly, does not look outrageous either. The price to earnings ratio is sitting under 18, and the price to sales ratio is under 6, both of which are far from bubble territory for a company with this kind of growth and cash generation. Yes, the price to earnings to growth ratio is a little stretched right now, and yes, some valuation scoring models are grading it poorly in the short term because of the recent earnings miss, but long-term investors tend to look past a single quarter when the underlying business is still healthy. Now here's where it gets really interesting if you're someone thinking about buying the dip. Rewind back to late 2022, and this stock was trading around $87 a share during the broader bear market bottom. From there, it rallied all the way up toward nearly $800, an almost unbelievable 10 times return in under 3 years. Naturally, after a run like that, some kind of pullback was inevitable and honestly healthy for the stock long term. Back in the spring of last year, during a sudden market flash crash, the same stock dipped down to around $478 before snapping back sharply in a classic V-shaped recovery. The question everyone is asking tonight is whether we could see that same level revisited. Based on Fibonacci retracement levels that a lot of technical traders watch closely, that $470 to $480 zone lines up almost perfectly as a major support area. Could the stock actually fall back down to test that zone again? It is entirely possible. Could it fall even lower than that if broader market conditions worsen? That is possible too, though obviously nobody can guarantee it. There's also a psychological round number sitting at $500 that a lot of traders will be watching closely, plus another historical support zone stretching back to the summer of 2024, sitting around $440. So if someone were considering building a position in a stock like this over time, what might that actually look like in practice? A common and disciplined approach that a lot of long-term investors use is called dollar cost averaging, where instead of putting all your money in at once, you split your total investment into several smaller purchases spread across different price levels. For example, purely as an educational illustration and never as personal financial advice, someone might decide to split a planned investment into 4 separate portions. They could put the first portion in at current prices, hold some cash in reserve, and then plan additional purchases if the stock drifts down toward that $400 to $500 zone we just talked about. This way, if the stock keeps falling, your average cost per share keeps improving. And if it turns around quickly, you are still meaningfully invested rather than sitting completely in cash on the sidelines. Of course, how aggressive or conservative someone gets with this kind of strategy really depends on their own conviction in the company. Do you believe in the long-term direction of the business? Have you actually looked into how they make money and where future growth is coming from? These are not rhetorical questions. They matter enormously because buying a dip in a company you do not actually believe in is a completely different decision than buying a dip in a business you have researched and trust for the next 5 to 10 years. This particular company is not necessarily the single highest conviction pick out there today, but when a quality business drops double digits in a single session on what looks like an overreaction to short-term spending numbers, it is absolutely worth putting on the radar. Before we wrap up tonight, I want to be completely transparent that nothing in this video is personalized financial advice. It is simply market analysis and education so you can make your own informed decisions. If this kind of breakdown helped connect the dots for you tonight, drop a comment down below and let me know which stock you think deserves the next deep dive, because your comments genuinely shape what we cover next on this channel. If you found value in this, tap that like button. It takes 2 seconds, but it tells us exactly what kind of content to keep making more of. And if you know someone, a friend, a family member, anyone who has been nervously watching their portfolio today, go ahead and share this video with them, because right now, with so much fear and confusion in the market, calm and clear information is exactly what people need most. Let us also talk for a moment about why this kind of capital expenditure story keeps repeating itself across the tech sector, because understanding the pattern actually helps you make smarter decisions the next time it happens. And trust me, it will happen again. Every few years, a new wave of technology comes along that forces the biggest companies in the world to spend enormous amounts of money just to stay competitive. Right now, that wave is artificial intelligence, and the companies at the center of it are racing to build data centers, buy specialized chips, and secure enough computing power to support whatever comes next. The problem for investors is that this spending shows up immediately on the balance sheet, hurting free cash flow in the short term, while the actual payoff from all that investment might not show up in the numbers for another year or two. That mismatch between when the cost hits and when the benefit arrives is exactly why the market reacts so emotionally in moments like this one. Short-term traders see shrinking cash flow and panic, while long-term investors are supposed to be asking a different question entirely, which is whether this spending is actually going to strengthen the business for the next decade. We are heading into a stretch of the year that tends to bring more volatility anyway, with the historically choppier late summer and early fall months ahead, on top of an already uncertain political and economic backdrop. That combination usually means more sharp moves in both directions, which can be unsettling if you are watching headlines every single day, but it can also create some of the best long-term buying opportunities for investors who stay patient and disciplined instead of reacting emotionally to every red candle on the screen. History has shown again and again that some of the best entry points into great businesses happen exactly during moments like this one, when fear is high and headlines sound scary, rather than when everything feels calm and euphoric. So keep a close eye on how this story develops over the coming days, because earnings season is far from over, and there are several more major companies still set to report in the days ahead that could shake up the market even further. Make sure notifications are turned on for TickerHawk, so you catch our next breakdown the moment it goes live, because we will be tracking every twist and turn as this plays out in real time. Thanks for watching all the way through. Take care of your portfolio and yourself, and we will see you in the next one.